Alright, hello everyone. It is time for the first tier list 2025. We're going to be ranking everything in 9.2. So, last time I did a 9.1 list, it was very early into the meta. Even though not a whole lot has changed from 9.1 to 9.2, I think we have a bit of a better understanding of it. Even then, I think we're going to have a bit of a ways to go before we fully figured out this meta, but I do feel a little bit more confident in the rankings for this one. Like with last time, since this is just a second channel VOD, we're just going to be putting things on here, and I'll be talking about it a little bit, and I'm not going to take too much time going over some stuff. So, with that being said, let's get started. Specials have not changed very much, so I'm going to go through these in groups. I think that there is a very simple bottom three for zones, which is these. I think that Hammer is dealing with a lot of counters that can shoot through it. I don't think it's dealing with very much. I think the speed issues are a big problem for Kraken. Its big claim to fame would be punishing Bubble, but I think it's way too slow at breaking Bubble. I've seen Krakens against Bubble multiple times, and it still takes like 6 out of the 8 seconds of Kraken, and then you still have someone in a Bubble who can just do something else. Has its moments for sure, but I think it's just way too situational to get value. Nothing's really changed about Vacuum. So, these are all like, they will still have their moments. I don't think there's any truly awful specials in this game. I think everything is like decent at worst, even Vacuum. So like, these aren't horrible, just I think there is a sizable gap. From here we get to pretty confident with these 4 specials going together, which is these over here. Triple Splashdown might be a bit higher, realistically. It might just be the weapons it's on, because there's not really a whole lot of really good Super Chump weapons right now. So, I do think that's a bit of a problem. Or not Super Chump, Splashdown weapons. Though, some of these lack good weapons they're on, I guess. So, oh, this is not supposed to be Inkstorm, this is supposed to be Chumps. Oops. This is probably the rough order I would put them in. I think that Triple Splashdown has the most potential, but for the most part, these are all just kind of, they don't take your main weapon away. They're very fast to use, but they don't do a whole lot, just kind of ordered by which ones end up doing a little bit more. I think Chumps are actually the most impactful, but the larger cooldown is why I put it under Wave. So, that's kind of where I'm at with these right now. Again, not much has really changed that much, except I think Screen is just lower. In fact, Screen might even go down here. But I'm gonna keep it up for now, because I think it's not even really seeing a whole lot of use of the roller stuff anymore, and that was its best thing, so that makes me think it might be even lower. But that's about it. Next tier. Jet and Storm. So, pretty different specials. I don't have too much to say about them. I think Inkstorm doesn't really have a whole lot of value, but it's more consistent. Doesn't take your main weapon, but it does like just a little bit more than the other weapons, especially if you're playing slower weapons in your comp that benefit from the healing. Jetpack's a lot more high risk, high reward. I don't think it's worth it most of the time. There's just too many ways of dealing with it in the game right now between Bubble, Pencil, and similar stuff. But I don't think it's like bad. It definitely will have its moments, and when it has its moments, it can do very good. So it's worth it sometimes. It's worth it sometimes. You don't really see the healing in Storm. The healing happens, it's just not super noticeable. Also, Tiwi, thank you so much for the Prime. I don't know if I saw that earlier. I think, like, Storm healing is something you don't really notice in the moment, but it happens more than you think. Okay. Missile and Whale. I think Missile's location utility is more useful right now, so I'd actually rank it higher. In my opinion, I think it's a little bit better, just because of that, even though it does have the cooldown. Both of these are pretty good at displacing people. I find Missile way less annoying these days. I think the hitbox nerf really helped a lot, so it's kind of fine for me. Whale is still very annoying. We don't really see as many weapons for either of these. I think like 52 and Flings are kind of the main representatives for them, so there's not too much I have to say here. It's your global range, displacement, chip damage type special. It will always be pretty good, so I think like there's a fair spot to put it. Also, Scary Green Mountain, thank you for the gifted membership. That is a W gifted membership. Alright, S+. This is where I'd put a Reef Slider and Booyah Bomb. Also, Yoxo Blue, thank you so much for the membership. So I don't have too much to say about these two. I think that they can be very good at countering the specials above them if they're popped at the right time. I think Booyah Bomb is more consistent, but it has a bit less playmaking power. But Slider will sometimes just blow up 2 people and win you the entire team fight. But besides that, I really don't have too much to say. Both of these are just kind of like big explosions that tend to beat other HP specials and give the user a bit of survivability. This one's more dependent on cooler and a little more inconsistent. This one is more consistent, but it doesn't really have the highest highs. It's a bit easier to paint over it. Displacement isn't as strong, so it still has sometimes it just gets shot. And that means, as you guys might have guessed, the reason that a lot of stuff has moved up in tiers is normally these 5 specials take up 2 different tiers. But in this list, they're all going in the same tier. All 5 of them are going in the same tier. So that's why this stuff is an S+, and this is an S, when normally this would be like S, A, B, C, D, E. It's because these are all clumped now into one tier. So, what's the order of the top 5? I think the worst of them is Zuka. Now, this is not to say Zuka's bad. In fact, I think Zuka could get better now that the meta is becoming more aggressive, and it just kills people. It's good at that. It's okay against Crab. It's not good in a bubble, though. It can find some uses in a strike. But out of all the specials here, I think this one is the least consistent in terms of value. Besides Sword Zip, but that's more because Sword Zip is hard. This special just naturally will have some times where it doesn't do anything. But compared to these, it's not gonna, like, get you killed or not get as much done. It's still gonna, like, control people for, like, 6 seconds because there's a giant bazooka. Under it would be Strike. So I moved Strike down quite a lot. There isn't as much double strike, there isn't as much zone cap, and people are fighting a lot more, so Strike's weakness is becoming more of a problem again. I think that Strikes are still very good with Bucket, just because Bucket is a weapon, but I think that overall this special has been trending down compared to other specials that can serve as better continuation and help a bit more in fights, so that's why I put it here for now. Next up, Big Bubbler. Definitely still really good. I could see this one dropping off depending on what the meta is going into. I think that bubble weapons are struggling with more counters. But it is just still so strong for these faster paced comps to be able to secure space or get regroup. Bubble is very much a, you pop it and you can win the fight like immediately type of thing. And because the fights are happening so fast, even if you shred bubble in like 3 seconds, which is a massive resource investment, that might still be all the time the team needs to just completely take space. I don't think double bubble is real, so that's good, but that's where I'd put it. Next up is Crab. Crab is, in my opinion, the best of all worlds. It's a little bit more flexible between everything. You have to be careful not to overlap with Pencil too much in terms of positions, so I think that's something you have to think about. But besides that, it's good into pretty much all of these specials. Against Slider, it'll break it, but you have an end-lag advantage. You can break Booyah Bomb. You can win duels with Zuka, honestly, or at least force Zuka to burn all its shots on you. You can kill Tri-Strike users or very easily avoid them in most situations. It shreds Bubble. And even against, like, Zip, which I'll get to in a bit, like, Ball Form is pretty good at stalling it. So I don't think that Crab has any, like, super difficult counters. It usually requires a combination of things to beat it, while also having an option against everything else. Definitely not as good as it used to be, obviously. Like, compared to old Crab, it doesn't just beat everything else, but I think you have a much more balanced matchup spread, and being able to have both a sustain tool and a temp anchor at the same time is very powerful. So, Zip is a weird one to rank, obviously. If we're talking Zip on, like, most weapons in the game, it's probably going somewhere here in these. But Zip Sword for me is always ranked off of the only weapon we see with it, which is Stamper. And Zip's Stamper is Superman, and so it goes up here, because then you get to have a Stamper that can fly across the stage. We have seen more and more players getting better and better at Stamper with Caster, and getting more and more value out of it more and more consistently, and it's just more clear that it's gonna be consistent if you're good with it. And this thing can still mess up Crab, so yeah, it messes up Crab, you can zip through and break Bubble, you can kill Strike users. I think Zuka is the only one you don't want to go for, because it can kill you through the armor. Like, if they try to Slider to blow you up, you can still just zip out of the way. Because you're a stamper, you can zip near the Booyah and Booyah tech it or shred it. Like, yeah, I mean, it can do everything if you're good enough. And then Cooler's here. I'm not talking about this. You already know. Alright. Next up, the main weapons. Yay. So, D through F tier. I have basically nothing to say. We're just going to drag the weapons onto the list. We're just going to put them there. We're going to put them there and we're going to move on. So, I don't have too much to say. I didn't really think about the exact placement too much. So I don't really care. In general, I don't really care about the bottom of this list. So we're going to put things on here. And then we're going to move on. There might be a few I have to say some things about. But probably not really. So. Guess you can just enjoy the music. As we put all the weapons in here. Yeah, these bottom 3 tiers are really just the ones I don't think should be picked. Like, ever. That's really all I gotta say about them. So. Yeah. These are your bottom of the barrel weapons for today, everybody. It's a lot of familiar faces. So there's not really a whole lot changing. Usually just the weapons that really did not end up winning in the weapon kit lottery. We'll do that. I think that's it, actually. Yeah, there you go. Particle Zero, thank you so much for the Prime. And there you go. That's it. Honestly, not that many. That's pretty small. This is like all the, like, and even these you can make some niche arguments for, like Flounder and Flounder. Yeah, mostly Flounder. So that's about it. Alright. Let's get on C tiers. I don't even want to talk about these as much, to be honest. I don't really see too many of these working. The weapons here are mostly up here because it's like, they have enough of a functioning identity to have a game plan. There's enough of an idea here. C-Jet hitting Gem. I mean, how much higher do you realistically see a C-Jet going? You don't see them working. Alright. I wish I came up with that myself. That would have been better. Where's the playlist? Just DM me, Goss. I'll send it to you after. This is just, or you can just look it up. This is just Zelda and Chill 1 through 3. It's very, very easy to find. Where are we now? Blob Deco. Did I put Blob Deco in D? Oh, I did. We can swap you with VDapple so my list looks nicer. And then the normal Blob can go. Where is Blob? It's up here already. Okay. Where are we at? K Luna? We'll talk about Luna when we get to V Luna. But yeah, my thoughts, I got a little distracted. My thoughts on, like, C-Jet. I think the main sub-special combo isn't even that bad. But I just think that there's a lot of much more solid anchor weapons that don't have to be played with Zap. Or, like, are gonna put more to the table if I have to play with Zap. I'm gonna put VS Blast here. It probably belongs higher, but people should really just play the other kids, so I don't care. Also, like, Hydra would be so much higher if there was a good, cooler short-range weapon. I think Hydra is low-key a very underrated main weapon right now. I'm just gonna say it right now. Where do I put the damn paintbrushes? I'm gonna put them here. These are like... I don't know, man. This is just one of those weapons where I have not seen it enough. And I don't know if I haven't seen it enough because it really is that bad, or it's just a really weird weapon that, like, almost nobody is actually, like, trying with. So, I don't know. But I'm gonna put them there for now. I'm putting V-Dowser here. Most of the ones here I want to talk about later. I'm putting Tri-Stringers here. My opinion of them has dropped. I am sorry, Tri-Stringer players. I'm not seeing it currently. The vision is not there. What have I forgotten? I've forgotten V-Explo. V-Explo can go here. I'm missing one more. What else did I put in my layout? I put Vimy. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. C Junior get picked up for V-Shot Area Cup Grand Finals and got the win in the tournament. It was picked for Flounder Heights. And no, I was not surprised. This is a Flounder weapon. You pick different things on that map. Nova? Oh yeah, I forgot Nova! Oh, look at that! I forgot Nova entirely. There we go. Oh, but now this tier doesn't look clean. What can I move? I'm moving this one. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, I think we've reached the point where things are starting to get a little interesting. Because these are, like, you could see them picked. The only, like, really interesting one here to me is Paintbrush again. Because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with it. What about Red Rapids? They're a little higher. I think I've been a little unfair to the mains. Alright. B tier. If they make Chump good, this would be really good. But until then, it's just kind of... It's there. It's still a zap with a bomb and a fast special that paints the floor. So, like, it can't be that bad. I'm putting H3 up here. H3 had that, like, one area cup run. And I think that it was okay. I think it was alright. It is really tanky. A decent amount of bubble. Still is a one-shot threat. Paints enough. But it still feels very slow. Very laggy. It still just doesn't, what is it? It doesn't really feel like it has the tools to be that strong. It's just kind of not terrible. It's fine. It's, like, functional enough to where I could see it win. But not to where I would think it'd be good. Dynamo's like a niche. Unfortunately, V-Squiffer goes over New, because New Squiffer is just too hard, but I still believe in it. C-Leader, I don't think you pick this one over the normal leader, like, almost ever, outside of very few niche situations. Tri-Nouveau, cooler output has been gutted. And also Luna. We'll get to Luna. C-Explo. Actually, C-Explo higher. I'm gonna put C-Explo here. I think C-Explo gets rushed down a bit too much. Can't keep up as fast. I think the splashdown's not working as well with the more mobile weapons. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it right now, unfortunately. Very cool weapon, but I think it hit its peak in a different meta, and that peak was not high. But it is definitely better than this. Heavy. Very consistent anchor. Very underrated main weapon, but just doesn't really provide the strong special you need from a role like that. I don't want, like, 8 wave breakers. I want 8 tacticoolers. Galuga. Again, just decent enough kit, but I don't see it enough to talk about it further. Okay, Sea Dowser. This thing got another buff. It's a little faster now. So I don't really I don't really have too much to say about it. I think it just, what is it? I think that, what am I want to say? I think that Sea Dowser, while being a very decent main weapon, is not, like... It doesn't do enough for me to want it. Like, as an anchor, it doesn't paint or support as consistently. As a slayer, it doesn't kill as much. Its kit is really good, and the weapon has a lot of good attributes to make it a good weapon. Like, the archetype of it is good, but the stats are not there. Like, the actual stats of the weapon are just not high enough for it to actually use any of the traits it actually has. And I think that's the big problem. Okay, Brellas. Let's get to this. We're at the point where, like, Jet dropping off as much has made me realize that I think this one is very even with it. I'd still say Sorella's better, but I wouldn't say it's, like, that much better. But it is, like, close now. Depending on the comp you're fighting, you just can't pick Inkjet into some things. And when you can't, then you have to pick this. V10. Yeah. V10. Luna Blaster. Yeah, I put Luna this high. I think Luna's main is actually pretty good. It struggles with the range disadvantage, so it's definitely a niche, but, like, Luna does actually work. Caster on it is not amazing, but it's, like, good enough to do things with it. It's cheap, you'll get a decent amount of it. We've been seeing a little bit more of Luna in tournaments, and I think the radius buff has been what it's needed. I don't know if it's gonna get much higher than here. This is, like, the highest I can see Luna. But it's definitely, like, more worth picking the weapon, in my opinion. Alright. Here's where I'll put the two normal rapids. Because I think I've been a little unfair to them in my previous lists. The main is, like, solid. So they'll go here. But I still just don't see much reason to pick them over the other kits. Even for rapid, with the whole strike jetpack thing I just talked about with Brella, it's not the same here, in my opinion. Because I think that rapid has much more of a better toolkit to chip damage and, like, deal with jetpack counters as a main. Whereas Brella gets countered by the same goddamn things that the jetpack loses to. V-Brush. V-Brush. Octo-Nuvo. Reflux. Wellstring. And Wiper Deco. All just inferior kits, really, so I don't have too much to say about them. And I think we now gotta move all of our weapons up, so let's move everything else up a tier so I don't have to keep scrolling. So this is the part in the list where I'm like I'm more interested in the weapons above here. I think everything B and below is like a niche use at best, I guess. But now I think these are weapons that, like, have a serious... That's scope. That have a serious chance of, like, actually doing something in a tournament. That doesn't mean I think all of them are necessarily good. I just think that... Whoa. Holy... What? Alright. Are we... Wait, what? Oh. Oh! Okay, but this looks bad. I'm not using this, but that's kind of cool that you could do that. I didn't know you could do that. Moving everything up in the list. Where's mint? There it is. Did I get everything? I didn't get bamboo 2. And Srelatin. And Inkbrush Nouveau. Okay. This is like... This is where I start caring about the list a little bit. This is the point where I think that there are actually, like, options here that are interesting and you can justify. That doesn't mean I think all of them are good. So, hold on a minute. Okay. How do I want to start this list? Wait, hold on. Why do these close? Thank you. I can see chat. Alright. Let's start with vPro, which I think, like, barely makes it onto this list. And I mean legitimately barely puts it on here. I am being so unbelievably generous. But the weapon paints enough at 180p to get a lot of crab. That's it. It's a pro with crab. I don't really have as much else to say. Bamboos, I think they're the same. I don't really have a whole lot to say about them. They're both about the same to me. They are solid. They are fast. They have good kits overall. Not amazing, but definitely good. They have their moments over pen, but probably aren't worth it overall. Leader, again, has its moments. On lockout, you can just lose the game. You have to know how to play against this weapon. Leader is one of those weapons where, like, if it is picked, everyone else in the lobby has to play differently. It completely controls how 7 people play the game. That doesn't mean that it's, like, unbeatable or anything. It just means you have to understand how to play against this weapon. And you have to understand how to play with this weapon. And if you don't, you're going to get steamrolled because you're going to get sniped across the map by someone really good at aiming across the map. The machines for real are going this low. I don't have faith in them. I really don't. I really just don't see it at all. Like, they aren't terrible. But the main weapon is so much worse. And then, yes, they buffed Booyah. But they nerfed the fizzy paint by, like, 5 points every throw. This is 220 still for some reason. So this thing gets, like, even less Booyah bombs now. So I don't care if the Booyah gets its better. Now it doesn't even get very many of it. Like, I feel like these weapons are slowly being made even worse because of fizzy nerfs and Zuka nerfs to these. Which before their kits were, like, even better. Now their kits are still, like, good. Still synergistic, but, like, the main kill time is just too slow. 5 frames was too much. You can win with them. They'll have their moments. But 5 frames was too much. We legitimately have never really seen these. And I think that, like, the other reason I'm putting them here is I really don't see them over bucket. I think Neo Machine had a claim to fame against, like, roller stuff. But I think Nautilus is the better pick against the roller stuff. I just think it's kind of outcompeted. Bucket Deco. This is like one of those weapons where a V-Bucket didn't exist. You'd see a ton of it. Or a Stamper. Like, literally either of them. But, like, this is still, like, top 5 main weapons in the game with, like, top 5 special in the game on it. It is horridly held back by Dart. Horridly. It is so sad how much Dart holds this weapon down. If this weapon had a good sub, it would be here. Easily on par with V-Bucket. Maybe even better. Because I think the special's more synergistic. But Dart legitimately drags it down 5 tiers into the grave. You have no combo that's, like, consistent. Which is the whole point of the spot bomb. You have less painting special. You have, like, less consistent things to do when you're not in your weapon range. It just doesn't help. It doesn't do what the weapon needs. Unfortunate. Double Dart, paint again. Sure. I want this to be, like... Here's what I want the devs to do. This should be 160p. I am voting to make this the second 160p gun. Lower it by 20. Again, this should be cheap. It should get a lot of casters. That is the only thing they can do to save this gun. Because they are not saving Dart. Like, think about it. Even if Dart Tripwire dealt 20, that doesn't help this. Like, it'd be better, but it doesn't fix it. No, legit, 160. I think 160 bucket deco goes like here. I think that's all you can do. Another range increase. We're gonna... At least I did something with Dart. That's where the bar is. Gold Knot. I think the other Nautilus is better, but sometimes Splashdown is a thing, sure. Ballpoint. Again, just... This is like Machine. Kind of. The main is still like... But more power in the main and less in the special. There's too many good pieces for me to put it lower. I'm putting Custom Blaster here. Most overrated weapon in Splatoon 3. Ever. Ever. Yes, it works very fine. But it's only when you put this weapon against some of the better main weapons in the game that you really notice its shortcomings. My Bucket is a better main weapon and it gets Tri-Strike. My fucking S-Blast is a better main weapon that has Burst Booyah Bomb. My Stamper is a better main weapon that has Burst Caster. Like, there are just better mains with better kits. Now, I'm not saying Blaster is bad. But this is the Blaster you should pick. Not this one. This one is fine if you're dealing with Sharking or a comp that counters Bubble and you want to play a Blaster. That's when you pick this. That's why it's up here. This Blaster provides the team utility and the stronger special that you actually need against some of these better main weapons. Rapid Deco. Also, I lied in my pin. I'm not ordering A and above. I changed my mind. So, I'm removing the pins. I decided I didn't want to do that. Anyway. Rapid Deco. This is, okay, I'm not going to talk about the mains that are like, the kit slash main is like good enough to be here but not higher, because I really don't have as much to say that I haven't before. Brush Nouveau. I think that the main thing I notice when I watch Brush in a tournament these days is, holy shit, this weapon does not kill. Like, I have seen so many times where a Brush will, like, go up to someone, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're alive, and then they kill you. This is the Brush all the good Brushes use. Like, I always see, like, every time I run into, like, a JP solo queue Brush, they are playing this one. I think it's because this kit is just a bit better when it gets behind you, and Stamp gives you a quick kill option, which it desperately needs. But I just don't think it really has the matchups. If Stamp was better, I could see it. If Brush killed a little better, I could see it. But I think it's, like, decent enough. I feel like Octobrush doesn't get talked about enough. Octobrush is, like, not bad. I think it's better now that there's, like, dive stuff. I think it's pretty good into, like, the small blaster, more of the shooters. I think it's good into dually, especially. I think dually is probably the best reason to consider this weapon. Like, the entire kit of this weapon kind of deals with dually very well. It definitely does not deal well with mid-range weapons, though. That's where it gets countered. But, like, if you're fighting 2 to 3 short-range comps, I think it's a good option. Very strong kit. And it has the tools to deal with a lot of specials. Like, you can zip above a bubble with this, and just flick and shred the bubble. Or you can zip in the bubble and hit people through it. Like, it has options to deal with things. So I think it's more solid than people give it credit. I'm gonna put the 2 worst Tetras down here. Sometimes you have zip things, but it's not worth losing the bomb. Sometimes you have triple splashdown things, but it's not worth losing the bomb and the slightly better main weapon for this, in my opinion. That's all I gotta say. Sorella Tent. If Bubble didn't exist, this would be like here. Mint? Mint is like the worst matchup this thing has ever had to deal with. It's bad. The matchup into Mint is bad. But if you're not fighting tent counters, it's fine. It's fine But, like, I feel like against certain comps, you are forced to switch. Like, basically forced to. And when you're playing a weapon that you're supposed to be one-tricking, I think that's a problem. Seawell. Slightly better C-Explo with different utility. Still not enough to be worth it. I still don't want a special as weak as Wave from a weapon that's going to consistently get this much of them. It needs to be something better. Reflux Deco. This is a little bit here out of faith, admittedly. A little bit here out of faith. But I think it's not bad. The buffs to Slider have helped a lot. The buffs to the main weapon in terms of fighting have helped a lot. Like, it's just straight up faster. Like, you can jump out of your Slider, like, not a super jump, like, jump and shoot, and go for a kill. You have better mobility. You have more consistent damage. The Slider itself is better. The thing is, this is an aggro slot. And I think it's still too short range for that aggro slot. But I don't know. You could just be insane and hit shots with this thing and it might be better. And the thing that gives me a bit more faith is hitting 2 shots for a 90 makes it have potential to be more consistent with stuff like V-Splash. I think this weapon's potential comes from, like, Splash Mint plus Pet with it. That's the comp I'd want to see for any Deflux players trying to grind the weapon. That's what I think is best with it. Sustain, combo damage, helps out. But I will say, like, definitely cool to see this kit improve. Changes to the main and special made it much more synergistic, so they took what was a bad idea on launch, or launch for the weapon, and they were able to tweak it in a way that it ends up decent. So, Deflux over BP is crazy. It is not over BP. They are in the same tier. Wiper. This thing just got buffed, but the kill time's too slow and the special's too weak. It's still very good at stalling. Still very solid with its synergy with Torp. But it doesn't, like, the main weapon just does not have the solo kill power it needs right now. That's it. Splash Mid be too passive? No, those weapons are fast. And, like, your Deflux is going to be aggro. It's like, you need something that can hang back. Charcoal will go here. Very good main weapon. Has some underrated synergy with Wall at times. But it's just not going to be better than Mint, pretty much in any way. Mint has basically a perfect kit for the comps it wants right now. Like, now that we know this is for sure a dive weapon, why would you not want a bomb and a bubble on your dive weapon in your dive comps? Like, I can't think of a reason. Plus bubble is just better. Alright. A+. Okay. I'm gonna put a few weapons on this right now, and I'll talk about them, alright? Because I've avoided this discussion. Okay. There are a lot of weapons in the game, in the anchor category, that would be higher on this list. These include E-Leader, Custom Wellstring, Custom Explo, Ballpoint Splatling, Heavy Splatling, both Bamboozlers, and E-Leader. And Rapid Pro Deco, which is also here. I forgot about it. Why are these so low? Because they have to be with Zap. That's it. That's why these are here. I debated having a Curse of Zap tier on this list and just putting all those weapons there, but I didn't. Also, hold on. Why is the music broken? Oh, video paused. Thanks, YouTube. Just pausing my stuff out of nowhere. Alright. I do not want my cooler weapon being this short range on zones. Other modes it's different, because you can't pick pen in them as easily. Whatever. Even then, I think it's a problem. I don't want my short range weapon getting cooler. I don't want my short range weapon being this easy to kill. It does do 30 damage. It's not a terrible main. It's just not what I want the cooler on. I want Edit and Pen to be the cooler. And Edit and Pen are too slow and have too much of a downtime to work with these other anchors besides maybe this one. But this one doesn't have a kit to stop it from being rushed down. So you're still going to have that problem. I think it's just too many issues. You can make it work. The weapons are good enough to work in this tier. but they would be so much better if they played with, like, a mid-range cooler weapon. Like, if there was a Dually Sculpture with cooler, or a Dreadringer with cooler, or something like that. Something that would take a midline slot, like a Splattershot Pro. That would work too. Something that would be a little less susceptible to dying than this. So my dog's at the door, so give me 1 second. Gotta let him in. She's gonna take a nap on the bed. Alright. Where were we? The rest of this tier. Okay. T-Tech. So I had more faith in T-Tech at 9.2, because I thought, oh, range buff. We're getting more Tri-Strikes, and we're better at fighting. Neosplash is really struggling because it isn't fighting as much. Maybe this is now T-Tech's time. It is not T-Tech's time. It just, I don't know. I think that if you want strikes on a short-range shooter, then you're gonna just commit to playing more passively. You're gonna commit to the special output. Trying to be in the middle of these, while in theory should be able to work, in practice just never seems like something people actually want to pick. 52 Deco. There's a better kit. Moving on. 96 Deco. It's held back by Kraken. It's a little slow as well, but it has good matchups, all things considered. Kraken has its moments with it, but it's not consistent enough. It's just a bit too weak of a special to me. If it got something better, I think it'd be higher. Forge. Here we are, everybody. We have a Forge on the list. I think that Forge is very solid. It gets a good amount of pain output, good amount of booyah. To me, this is a support more than anything else. I don't think it's played like a Slayer. And I think when you see it as a support weapon over a midline fighting weapon, you can see a bit more of its strengths. Now, it still struggles in fights. It still doesn't paint as well as a shot. But, like, it's decent enough. Sorry, Kyo, I don't have a Forge command. I don't have one yet. But yeah, I'm gonna put it here. I think this is where it belongs. It's gotten enough buffs. If you look at the buff page for S3, it has more damage, it has better accuracy, it has better paint, it has lower points for special, and it has a better special. That is 5 very relevant buffs, and I might be forgetting some. At some point, it's gonna add up. And I think we have hit that point. Should get 1 command or 4. I think I'll leave that to you. Foil Squeezer. Again, better kit. I don't see as much reason for the screen stuff. I'm gonna put Flingza here. I like Flingza edit, but it feels a little bit too slow, unfortunately. I think the synergy is there, and it does have a benefit of being able to keep up with dive a bit better, but it's not, like... I still think it ends up being a little too slow. Maybe it could work with the right combination of weapons, and we just haven't seen it yet, but for now, I think the edit Flingza stuff has worn off over time, so this is where I'm gonna put it. What are we on next? Oh yeah, I forgot a weapon earlier in the Curse of Zap tier. There we go. Welcome to the club, Crab Edit. Okay. This is gonna be a controversial placing. This is the weapon I thought most about when ranking this list. This is what I debated. And Kyo, I want your opinion on this one, because I know you like this weapon. I think Zimmy was overhyped. It has been, like, 4 months since the bubble buff, and I like this weapon. Mini is one of my favorites. But has it done anything in the past 4 months? Like, seriously, what happened? It's been 4 months, where'd they go? Nothing was accomplished. It's not like people didn't try, because that's the thing. People did try. It was tried with dive, it was tried with pen comps, it was tried with multi-bubble, and it didn't work. And it's 200 now. Yeah, I forgot it got nerfed. I forgot it got nerfed, which, like, yeah, it should be 200. Here's the thing. I think with dive comps, the lack of lethal bomb compared to Junior is just too much of a problem. Junior and Zimmy had their battle for that slot, and Junior won. I don't think, even though it's like a better main weapon, obviously, than most supports, I think the sub-weapon difference is too much. And now Junior also comfortably gets more bubbles. I don't think it's bad, but, like, I haven't seen it work. And I've talked with, like, other top players playing, like, the dive comps, like, the whole dually sword thing. Like, I talked to Clef about it. And the stance has always been, it isn't, like, it's not able to play to, like, helping each side as much because of the lack of sub-weapon. Like, sometimes the dually and sword will dive, and you need the support to be able to help the pen and them, and they can't. Because they don't, like, all they can do is chuck a mist. So, I'm putting it here. Nautilus. I think Nautilus is an example of a niche weapon that has found its purpose. When the sensor is strong against the other comp, it's great. You pick around it, like what happened in King's Cup, and it's great. But I don't think you pick it much outside of that. But that's fine. Like, I think this weapon is good in the situations it needs to be, and even outside of them, it's pretty decent. I don't have too much to say. Oh. Alright. I'm not sure where to put this. I think V-Blaster could go here or here. I am not sure where it goes. But my gut tells me. That I've changed my mind, and it's going up a tier, and we'll deal with it later. Alright. I'm gonna put ranges below it. Okay, I hate doing this, because, like, I think these are the better high-investment guns. But I think the kit on V-Blast is just too good. It's too good. We'll get to it later. And I'm gonna put S-Blast here, too. I think S-Blast could be higher, but I have to see more. I have to see someone do well with it first. I'm not putting it higher until I see it proven. Because this is like top 5 hardest weapons in the game. So this has to be someone who can prove it can work. Has to be. And Tetra. Where is my Tetra? Where on earth is Tetra? There you are. I don't think Tetra lived up to the hype either, but I don't think it's as bad. But I'll talk about it more when I get to Dooley. Or I'll talk about Dooley more when we get to Dooley, because I think the other Doolies are better. Actually, I'll talk about when we get to Dapple. Alright. S tier. Let's move past. Moving up in life. Moving up in the world. Alright. Slim Java, thank you for the tier 1. Alright. Let's talk about all of these. First up. Splattershot Jr. Here's the thing. I think this weapon is on the way out. I think you pick it for dive comps. I think that, like, that's where it thrives, for sure. It's very good on that, just because of the bubble, the support kit. But I think that it still gets run over too easily. I think that dive comps with, like, Splash, or not Splash, with, like, Dooley Sword are gonna need something else. And I think I know what that answer is, which is this, and I'll get to it later. But for now, I'm putting it here. 52. Another weapon I think is trending down, just because I think the best weapons are very team utility heavy. I think its only real synergy was with Roller, and I don't think it's better for Roller than Mint. It's not bad. 52 is a broken main weapon. It's so overtuned. But I don't think 52... I think the shortcomings of 52 is that it doesn't really make the other weapons feel more broken. It feels broken, but it doesn't make my sword feel even more like a Superman, right? And at this level of play, at this caliber of weapon, I think you also need to make your other weapons feel more broken. Squeezer. A lot of ways, same thing as 52. But I think there's more potential here. The main is still very scary, and it's still doing pretty well. But my main thing with V-Squeezer is I don't see what combination of weapons makes it work. I haven't seen a comp with Squeezer that makes me think, oh wow, this is super broken. So, that's what I'm waiting for. Carbon Deco. I think that Roller is just better. And I'll get into Roller later. But I think Carbon is fine. It doesn't do anything terribly wrong. But I think, like, even though the kit is very strong, Bubble on Roller is too perfect, and I really would rather have my Roller have a bubble than a Zuka. That's really the only thing it comes down to me. Alright, let's get this over with. This is where I think Dread goes. I think Dread is this good. I think Dread is played with Splash or Dooley plus Mint plus Pen. And I think it provides good chip damage. It gives the comp the ability to fight anywhere. And I think that Slider can be used as an initiation tool where you have two fast weapons dive in. Is it my bias or not? Who knows? I think most people will probably think that Dread goes here, which is totally fair. But here's the thing. If I'm gonna play this weapon, and I'm gonna push it in competitive, then, like, I better think it's good, otherwise I am wasting my damn time. So, like, of course I think it's good, otherwise I wouldn't play it. Fair? I think the main is too good. And I think if this didn't have Slider, if this had like a standard special, like Missile or Crab or whatever, this would be the dive support. Easy. Easily. I think the main weapon is very broken. I think Slider holds it back. I think if this had like a Missile or anything, it would be a meta weapon. For sure. Especially something like Missile that doesn't have competition. This still does do so much. It has the bigger hitbox on the first slosh, it has more damage, it has the most broken pain in the game, it has good ink efficiency. It can get dived a little bit, because it doesn't have a way to one-tap you. But it's still not, like, Dread does not feel slow, because you put so much paint down for yourself that it's very easy to just slosh and swim and move. It's very fluid. So, there we go. That's what I think. It's not even the only Slider weapon this high, and that's Dapple. Honestly, I think Dapple could be here. You know what? It's my list. I'm gonna put Dapple over there. Hold up. We'll get to Dapple later. I'm talking about it later. Blaster. Alright, this feels fair. This feels fair, I think. Yeah? We're acknowledging the really good kit and relatively good main weapon, but we're not putting it too high. Dooley Squelchers. I think this weapon found its home with Roller and mid comps. And Kamachan is amazing. They're just too good at the game. They keep getting results with it. But I don't see it going any higher. Unless if there's like a patch. I think that the damage problems and the kit problems are too much to make it go any higher. But like it's very clearly at this point. Very clearly been shown. Dapples better than Tetra always have been. Better for sure, always have been, hell no. Half the reason Dapples are better now is that Dapples has to have a good kit and Tetra didn't. Tetra did not care about having a terrible Slider because you picked it for the main. This is the entire kit. Now it has a special. Alright. S+. Shot. I think Shot is just better, and no matter where you're fighting. I think this is where dive comps might turn to have a more self-sufficient weapon. Just engage with Zuka. It gives you a little bit less zones power, but I don't think it's that big a deal. And just having another tool to secure fight wins or deal with enemy specials feels very valuable. Neo Splash. It's dropped off, but like it's still good. It's still just gonna be like a ton of paint on the floor. And that's really all I gotta say. It's still a ton of paint on the ground. And you have to deal with it. This is still the most overtuned painter ever in the Splatoon series. It will still break all your HP specials, and outpaint every zone, and have a billion tri-strikes. Roller. It's the same thing it always does. Nothing's really different here. So I don't have too much to add. Here's where I'll put Dapple. Alright. I think you need an insane Dapple player. Like, mechanically very tough. But I have, like, been able to see more of this main weapon recently. We've seen it in competitive events for a bit in Japan. My thoughts is that this weapon is crazy if you're good at it. And its kit more importantly, is crazy. This weapon with Torp is kind of nuts. I think that Torp is very good in this meta. Like, extremely good. Very underrated in terms of subs, because there aren't really options with it. And I think because of that, people kind of forgot how annoying Torp is to deal with. But this is the weapon I think can actually show it. And it gives it a slider combo, because the main would not have a slider combo if it didn't have Torp. The kit's very synergistic. I think Torp and slider gives a lot of opportunities for opponents to combo off it. I think that the main weapon is very quick at killing. I think it's very good at sharking. It can still paint decently, play around it special. I think this is another case of play it with like splash and mint. So you have sustain tools, and you just play really fast. You can just shark. You have a lot of weapons that threaten to instantly kill you. You have 2 weapons that can jump in and live. You can play very quick, and you can just fight and come back to wherever your special was deployed. So, yeah. Maybe this is a bit high. This is probably more fair. Probably. But it's my list, and I'm gonna make a prediction here. I think that we will see this weapon if people put practice into it. I know Synapse is trying to play it in the West. I've heard that he's going to try and work on the weapon. I am hoping that he does well with it and people see the vision. But we'll see. Very mechanically demanding. Roller. Or not Roller. Dooley. So I like this weapon. I think that, yes, it doesn't fight as well as midline weapons, and it doesn't support as well as, like, short-range weapons. But you still get, like, a little bit of everything. You still have good enough paint. You still have an absolutely broken kit. Like, just, honestly, it's crazy. You still have 30 damage to work off of other weapons, particularly working off Stamper or Decav. I think there's just too many things that work with Dooley. I think that the comps it has are good. It's tough, but I think that there's enough pieces working together here, basically, to make it work. It just needs to be picked with the right options. I'd say the biggest challenge for Dooley is that Dooley has to be picked, like, having Dooley and another short-range weapon can be tough if it's not the right options in terms of dealing with multiple midline comps. So we have to see what ends up being the better options to pick with it to help deal with that. But that's really the only big problem I think it has. It's a sword with a crab. That's it. Everyone picks the other one. But, like, if Stamper was removed from the game, you would still see this one. So, alright. And that means you guys already know what weapons are up here. I feel like this is a very uncontroversial top 6, yeah? This is, like, very standard. I think it's very clear that Splash is the best support again. Thank you. Very good. Should be. I think that Dooley's worth the investment or Splash better. It's different comps. Edit and X? Yes. Edit is better into HP specials. We don't have edits in the West. In Japan, Edit and Pen are very even. We just don't have the players on the weapon. I'm hoping it will change. Hoping. But, like, it's only a here thing that we don't see it as much. Yeah, swords are very strong. These are all weapons I've talked about a lot. So I don't have as much to say, because these have been good for a while. Mint being here is kind of new, but I think everyone gets Mint by now. Giant hitbox, 80 damage, 40 damage, bubble, can deal with enemy bubbles. Yeah. So that's where I'd put it. That's my opinion. That's my Splatoon 3 list, personally. I'm gonna remove this here. Overall, not too many changes from 9.1. I think we're leaning into a more fighting-focused meta, and a lot of my predictions here are centered around it getting more fight-heavy, which might happen, or might not. We'll see. But for now, I think this is a pretty good indicator of things. So, that's where I think we're at. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, how long did this take to make? This wasn't too bad, right? This was exactly 1 hour. Exactly. Exactly 1 hour into the recording. Alright, for those of you who say I just got here, can you tell me about this weapon? You gotta go back in the VOD. I'll leave it up on YouTube for a bit. I'm not gonna go talk about everything all over again. But I'll take a little bit of questions on stuff I didn't get to. Does Torp move up in the sub-weapons list? Yes. But I don't care to rank subs, honestly. It's just not interesting. Also, damn, we had like 800 viewers by the end of this. He didn't talk about it? I mean, like, what is there to talk about? Because, like, when I ranked the weapons in 9.1, I think this was, like, almost identical. So I kind of just already talked about it last time. What's the top 6 order? Pen, Stamper, Edits, Mint, Splash, Bucket. Do you think you see Dread moving up or down, or is placement stable? I think it's either staying here or it's moving down. I think this is the absolute highest the weapon can go, without any changes to the game. I mean, what do you, like, do you have any, like, questions about it, Kyo? I'd be down to talk about, like, one of these weapons if you want me to. Be the order in S+. Dually? Oh, you'd ask the order. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, I think, like... I mean, I think all of them are stable. I rank Bucket a little lower because I think that the continuation stuff is just really good on the special side. So I could see Bucket struggling more, but, like... not really, I guess. It's still Bucket. Like, it's still just too much damage. I don't know. S+ would be like Dually, Shot, End Splash, Roller, Crab Sword, Dapple. And then S tier would be Junior, oh god, I don't know. Junior is the best weapon in this tier. 100%. But I don't know where I'd put everything else. What do you think is stronger between S-Blast 91 or Rapid Pred Echo? S-Blast, easily. I see this weapon having a future. I don't see this going anywhere. This I can see moving. Someone just needs to prove it. Like, the tools are there. The reasons are there. There are players who believe in it. Like, Kyo's still here. I know Kyo very much believes in this weapon. But, like, there's gotta be someone who does things with it, and it is not gonna be me. I do not have the blaster mechs for this. Like, it's gotta be someone who has better mechanics than me. I think Mickey could do it. I think Gray could do it, but I don't think Gray has a real reason to. Unless if Gray just needs, like, motivation for the game. I think Nolan can do it, obviously. I feel like that's self-explanatory. Because, like, he's on it. But that's, like... And then there's a player I've seen around a little bit. I think they're called, like, Mechanical Cats or something. I haven't seen them in too many, like, top-level environments or anything, but every time I see them on a stream, they're, like, going insane on that weapon. So I know there's, like, someone practicing the weapon. So, if they move up, I could see them doing it as well. Yeah, that gun's OP. Real. But yeah, it's like... The reason I'm willing to put, like, Dread or, like, Blaster or something above S-Blast, when, like, they're all kind of unproven... I guess V-Blast isn't really because of Lobsters. Like, I don't think they're as hard. I think it's easier to pick them up and, like, play to their potential. I think S-Blast, like, you have to actually dedicate yourself for months, like you do with Stamper. And that's obviously, like, probably why we don't have that many of them, because, like, you don't know if it's going to be worth it. It's like, are you really going to gamble on it? But, like, I hope someone does, because I want to know. That or, like, one more buff, and I think people would be willing to commit. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I get it. I think there's reason for blaster players to do it now because range is nerfed, so it's like, range is not, like, there's no longer really a gap between the two. So, like, all the players who invested in a blaster invested in an RB before, and, like, that could be where it changes. Where would 190 Tri Nouveau be? I want to say, like, A+? I don't know if that's overhyping it, though. But I want to say it'd be way better. I don't know if A+ is fair. I haven't, like, thought about that weapon very much. Could Octobrush go higher? If, like, dive stuff with dually becomes more popular, if we see more 2 short-range weapon comps that are actually good, then yes, for sure. Octobrush's claim to fame is very much against those comps. So if we see more of them, I think Octobrush would be better. Would you nerf Bucket's range? No, Bucket is perfect. None of these need nerfs. The main weapon power is like, okay, let me put it this way, right? Range 1, King's Cup. It's good enough to win. But I don't think the weapon should be good enough to win by Lobster's hands. You think CXplo and H3D both go here? Like, this is the absolute highest I could see these weapons. But I'll put them up. I think that's fair. I'll move them here. I'm debating if I put Dapple down in tier. I think I'm being too greedy here. But, like, I so believe in the comp I said with it. But it's probably too high. I'm gonna move this here. Let's be reasonable. Is there any other changes? Let's see. Yeah, would you put machines up 1? Or do you think here is fair? Like, either of them. I don't even know which one is better now. Talk about Reef Deco? I did. Weapons you'd want to buff. This one. This one. This one. 2 more. This, actually, oh god, I don't know if H3D would be healthy. I'm gonna be honest, it might be really annoying, just because of the kit. Oh, Reflux. Yes, buff Reflux. 1 more. And Dynamo. The only hope for midline coolers. So yeah, Dynamo, Reflux, S-Blast, Dually Squelcher. What was my 5th? I forgot already. Oh, and include all the umbrellas as a bonus, I guess. I don't know. What do you think of comp viability? I mean, it's good. You can draw the viability line wherever you want, but I think this is like... I think that's a good viable line, right? So let's say, like... Okay. Let's say you want this to be the viable line, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 22. 33. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 59 weapons. Right. If we're being, like, really generous. Now let's do the opposite side, right? Let's say this is the viable line. Let's be, like, super... Actually, no, we can't even say this, because some of these have 1. Right? But even if we were to be, like, really skeptical on viability, and we just took this one, this is, like, what, minus 22 weapons? That's, what? 37 weapons. That's a lot. It's like, yeah, I mean, viability is insane right now. It's still very high. And the thing is, it's been like 4 months since the last drastic change, and it's still this high. That's a good sign that it's probably going to stay this way. All right. I think we're done. Yeah? You know what? I'm gonna move the machines up. I think this is a good way to end the list. This feels more fair. It goes here. Alright, I'm good with this list. I think we're gonna keep this for now, and we'll see where it goes later. Thanks for watching.